Hello, everyone. Welcome to Immigration Live with Lee. I'm your host, Lee Marvin. Um, and I'm here tonight, again, in my wonderful backyard. So, the first thing I wanted to do is to welcome everyone to the show again tonight. Again, this is the show where you can ask questions about immigration, um, about your processes, so that I can provide you information and give you guys guidance tonight or guidance in the future. I'm here to provide that benefit to you guys. So, again, thank you for everyone who's joining us. And the question I have, where are you joining us from? Okay. So, I want you to put in the comment section where you're joining us from tonight. Okay. So, again, like I said, I'm here in my backyard in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and I want to know where my friends are from tonight. We got people from all over the world, so please post in the comments. Okay, New Jersey, love it. Um, okay, what else do we have? So the question before people right now is, where are you joining me from tonight? And if you want to say your name, that's cool too. But again, it's very important for everyone to know where people are joining us from, because they may have questions similar to people depending on where they are in the country. Okay, so you see in my and the teaser at the top of my invite, what I'm going to be talking about tonight, okay? Which is questions that you have. I've got questions that people asked earlier. But again, please post your questions in the comments section, so I can answer live new questions that you might have. Um, Again, welcome everyone who's joining us. The question I asked, I got somebody who answered Illinois. Okay. So I asked people where they're joining us from tonight. Okay. If that's in the United States, we got New Jersey, we got Illinois. I'm always very curious. I love geography. And since I deal with immigrants, I deal with people all over the place. So I kind of like to know where people are calling from. Um, the other thing I wanted to do, and I'm going to post this and see how it works, is the ability for people to um, actually join me with questions on live. Okay. So if you want to be live here, click on the link and we'll give it a try and see how well it works. Kansas City. Hello from Kansas City. I've been there many times. It's a wonderful place. Um, it's quite a bit hotter usually than Michigan, but it is a wonderful place. Okay. Uh, okay. I'm going to try to post this again. For some reason, it wouldn't let me post. I'm going to post this. Again, what I'm trying to do here is provide a link for people to join and ask their questions live. Okay, so if you want to give it a shot, let's give it a shot. Otherwise, just type your questions in the comments section. Okay, and I'm going to be bouncing all over the place, from Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. So if I don't get your question right away, be patient. I'm going to go through and read to see what people are asking. Okay. Let's see. What do we have? What do we have? Um, can I file an I-140 even if my priority date is not the one posted on the bulletin? Okay. Okay. So, so the thing is, immigration is very particular about priority times and um, uh, posting or sending in your request for immigration. If you're not ready yet on the visa bulletin, then they're not going to let you do anything. You can file, but they'll just ignore you. And I will say that I don't do um, business visas. I do family-based immigration. I do not do business-based. So any specific questions about work permits or authorizations or petitions for alien workers, you're probably going to have to ask somebody else. But the general question is a good question. Can you file with immigration before the time on your visa bulletin says you're allowed to? No, you cannot. You can, but they'll just ignore you or they'll just deny you. Okay. So you got to really look at that stuff and go on my YouTube channel, do search for visa bulletin. I tell you what the processing times are right now for people, or how to find answers to your question. Okay. So this I-140 question, If you go on there, you can learn how to find your priority times. Um, so go ahead and check that out. Okay. Um, so again, let's see. Officer approved our I-730 form verbally. It's been 1 month since. We still didn't receive a written approval letter. Should we be concerned? Is it normal? So immigration is tricky, okay? Each agent has the power and authority to do things, okay? So if they tell you that you're approved verbally, it don't mean nothing, okay? Because until something's in writing, it doesn't exist. If they told you that, I don't know why an immigration official would say that unless it was true. And if it has been taking that long, you might need to just have to wait. So the I-730 form, whoops, I-730. Um, okay, so that's a follow-on a refugee document. So if an agent told you that it's been approved, I would trust that it has been. The fact that it takes a month or longer, I don't typically do refugee processes like this, so I don't know typically how long it takes for that to be approved. I would say that you can always reach out to immigration and ask them, um, but a month is not really a long time. So I think that the chances are good that you probably will be fine. You just have to wait a little while before you get that in writing. Don't don't bet the bank on it, okay? Because if it's not done in writing, it really doesn't exist, and that's just a general concept for jurisprudence, which is practice of law, things dealing with the government. If it's not in writing, it doesn't exist, okay? So don't do anything. Don't rely on that verbal approval from that officer. Wait for the actual written approval, okay? Um, please type your questions in the comments section. If you want to join me live, I have a link that I posted there. If somebody wants to get on here on video and actually ask their question instead of typing it, you can do that. So try it out if you'd like. Okay. Um, let's see. U visa waiver is powerful to pardon anything. Um, U visa waiver. I think you're kind of mixing things. A U visa waiver, you mean if you apply for U visa, does that trump everything? No. U visa is really good for people that have a problem and they fit within the requirements of the U visa, but it's not the be all end all of everything. If there's other immigration problems that you have in the past, U visa doesn't correct those things. U visa is just an avenue or a mechanism for being able to move forward with a type of immigration process that doesn't exist otherwise. Okay. Does it correct things? You know, does it heal things? No, it doesn't. But there are with the U visas, there are different types of waivers that you're often required to apply for if you have a problem in your immigration history. So U visa is an amazing process, but it doesn't do everything. Okay. So if you have questions about it, you can reach out to me. But no, it doesn't correct everything. Okay. Let's see. What else do we have? So post your questions, please. Everyone who's joining us, a lot of people on Instagram, a lot of people on Facebook, on YouTube. Post your questions, please. Okay. So while you're on this live, post your questions so I can answer them. If not, we'll just see you next week. I'm here every Monday at 8 o'clock Eastern time. That's Detroit time. So check it out. How long is the I-601 waiver taking now? Okay. The I-601 waiver depends if you're filing now or if you're still waiting. If you're filing right now, it's going to be at least 2 years to get your waiver approved. Okay. Um, so if you filed 2 years ago, you're probably close to getting your approval. I've got a whole bunch of clients that we're getting the waivers approved now, and we're able to move forward with the rest of the process. But it is taking still 2 years or more. Okay, it really depends where you are um, and where you're filing and who your service center is. Okay, um, so yeah, again, post your questions. I'm going to go to a question that I had earlier today. Um, Okay. So one thing that a client asked me about earlier today It's about the filing fees. So immigration is a little bit sneaky, right? So they're a little bit sneaky because they changed the filing fees. They increased a lot of the fees. They decreased some of the fees. They're on record for improving immigration fees. Propaganda, right? It's politics. One thing that you need to watch is that they change a very significant part of the filing fees for the adjustment of status, the I-485. They no longer give you the freebie for the work permit, right? So if you're filing for adjustment of status and you're filing your work permit, it's no longer free. It's been free for a decade or more. It is no longer free. So if you're filing for the adjustment of status, you better be including the filing fee for the work permit too. Otherwise, they're going to reject it and you can't get it. Okay. So that's one thing that we've noticed since the April filing fee increases. Um, I never noticed that this happened until one of my clients experienced it. And I researched it, looked into it, and sure enough, immigration changed yet another thing. Um, and it was very underhanded. It wasn't very obvious to people, but that has happened. So be careful about that, okay? Um, so the new parole in place process, lots of people asking questions. We still don't have all the answers, but I do provide the answers to questions as I get them. So one question that people are asking, does it or does it not apply to visa overstays and why? It does not. So if you enter the United States on a visa, you overstayed. It doesn't matter whether you're here for 10 years without status. It doesn't matter if you got married. It doesn't matter any of that stuff. You are not eligible for this new parole in place process. Why? Because this process is designed to help people who entered illegally. Illegally. If you enter with a visa, that means you entered legally. Okay. So you're no longer somebody who has entered illegal and you need this process because you can't move forward with any other process. If you have overstayed your visa, Biden's a little bit better about this than he was 6 months ago or longer. If you overstay a visa, for a while, immigration was destroying people over it. They're absolutely denying them and they're making them leave the country. Now they're getting better about that. So if you enter legally, but you've been here overstayed for years, you could still potentially still move forward with a green card process, adjustment status in the United States. But this new parole in place is definitely not going to help you. Okay. So if you have questions about how this all works and you need help with adjustment of status, whether you've overstayed or whether you're hoping to benefit from this new parole in place process, give me a call, reach out to me. Um, I put I put her number at the top of the invite. So if you see the question up there or the phone number, you can do that. We also always like to post the link for you to give us direct. You can contact me directly and you can actually book a time to meet me. Um, so that is what that post is. Now I'm going to go through here and see if there's any other questions that people have. Okay. Our good friend Estelita from Philippines. Hello again. Thank you for joining us yet again. I know we're going to be hearing from your husband very soon, I understand. So thank you again for joining us. So we got people from the Philippines. We got people from Illinois, New Jersey, Kansas City. If you want to post in here where you're joining us from tonight, that would be very interesting to me in particular and to other people as we are dealing with this live broadcast tonight. Okay, let me see what other questions we have. Post your questions, please. Okay, post your questions in the comment section. We got a lot of people that post very good questions that help a lot of people because a lot of people have similar questions. Okay, next question that I had from people earlier. Um, oh yeah, I always want to promote this. Okay, Pennsylvania. Thank you. You're from Pennsylvania. I have a relative who is handicapped. Okay, you continue to type your question, and we'll get to that very soon. But I wanted to say that this question, okay, um, I get a lot of questions about adjustment status, travel permits, things like that. Is it a good idea? Is it a waste of time? I used to tell clients it's a waste of time. Okay. It's no longer a waste of time. So if you have adjustment status, I strongly urge you, if you have any thought that you might need to leave the country for work, to visit family back home, absolutely you submit that request with your adjustment status request, okay? Why is that? Because it takes a while for them to process it, which is why I used to tell people don't bother, right? Now, because it's taken so long to process green card requests, it is highly advisable for you to have the ability to leave the country. I've dealt with a lot of people that didn't have the ability and that they're in an emergency situation and they couldn't leave. And in some cases, people abandon their green card requests because they have to go home to visit a loved one that is dying or is in the hospital. So, absolutely, travel permits highly recommended that you file for these requests when you file for your green card request. Okay, I can help you with that. I do it all the time. Um, okay, then the other question. Let me look at my questions up here before I go to my other questions that I prepared. Um, okay, so our friend from Pennsylvania have a relative who is handicapped, and for some reason his file is not opened. So that could be because it wasn't filed properly. That's my guess is that if a if a case isn't open, I mean, the big question is, did you get a receipt notice? Okay. Do you have a case notice, USCIS online stuff? If you do, that's a good sign. If you don't, that's an indication that you probably filed improperly, and immigration hasn't officially recognize the submission of your request to them, and you're never going to move forward with anything unless you actually file it properly. Okay, so that's what I think about that. Um, sister who's a U.S. citizen. Okay, yep. If it's okay, so this is a little bit confusing because if a sister filed for a sister, filed a petition for a sister, first of all, it's usually about 18 years, depending on the country you come from, to whether you can move forward or not. So if you got a receipt notice, that's the only thing you're going to get for probably a decade, 15 years, sometimes 18 years. Our friends in Mexico, it's 18 years. So that very well could be the reason for it. India, okay. So that very well could be the reason for it. If it was a recent filing, um, it's because it takes gobs and gobs of time to be able to move forward. If you got a receipt notice, that means that the case is open. It's just in a dormant setting because immigration can't do anything with it for probably a decade and a half. Okay. The fact that somebody's handicapped has zero relevance whatsoever to immigration. Okay. I've gotten this question for years from people, people talking about family members, kids that are handicapped. Absolutely irrelevant for immigration purposes. There is no handicap part to immigration, right? There's no special needs. There's nothing that would help anything. There's no special cutout for people that have a handicap, okay? So it's just not a thing that immigration in the United States does, okay? Um, okay, so let me go back here. What kind of questions I'm getting? Let me see. A bunch of people from YouTube. So, um, okay, good. Estelita, thank you very much for that heads up. Okay, Francisca, I got a notification this evening that my green card has been processed. When will I receive it? So that your green card has been processed, that could mean many different things. If it means that they have approved it and they're processing the physical card, in my experience, it takes about 2 weeks. Okay. So hopefully that's what it means. But process also means that they're working on it, right? They're reviewing it, they're going to make a decision. So it really depends on what that means by it's been processed. Okay. Um so yeah, so that could be what that means. Um so hang in there, right? You can always call immigration. You can always call them. Okay, so again, if you have questions, please post it. And a lot of our friends are friends from all over the globe. Many people from different parts of the United States. Um, okay, so the next question that I had earlier from a client is approved 4 days ago. Okay, so I guess wait and see. 4 days. It usually takes a few weeks for immigration, so stand by for that. I'm confident that that's coming for that. Okay. Um, okay. I get this question a fair bit. We filed for a fiance visa and it was denied. Okay. So it got denied. And what do we do now? Can we qualify? Can we file for a spouse visa? 100%. So, fiance visa is a great process. If it's not done the right way, obviously things get denied. Okay. So, if you get your fiance visa denied, whether in the beginning stages or at the time of the interview, you are not out for the count. You can still qualify for a spouse visa. The tricky part with that is you've got to meet in a spot where you can get married, okay? Obviously, fiancé visa is to bring somebody into the United States to get married. If you can't do that because it's denied, you got to find some other place to get married. If that's in the country where your significant other is, cool, you can travel there. There's no restrictions if you're a US citizen. There's virtually no restrictions on traveling to any other country. There might be visas that are needed depending on if countries are not friendly to the United States, they now are starting to require those. But for the most part, you don't need anything. You just need a plane ticket. You go to that country, you get married, have your significant other check with their country, their government to find out what it takes to get married there because some countries are wide open when it comes to getting married. You can go there like Mexico. It's very easy to go to Mexico and get married. They want people to get married in Mexico. Why? Because people who get married in Mexico who are related or US citizens spend a whole lot of money in Mexico vacationing and honeymoons. So depends on where you're wanting to get married. You can go to Mexico and get married even if you're not Mexican. It's a crazy thing, right? My friend, US citizen, his at the time fiance was Colombian. They went to Mexico and got married, okay? So there's choices out there that's not the United States or not the country where your significant other is, okay? So that's just a few tips there, okay? So you can absolutely do spouse visa. I do them a lot. Okay. So if you need help with it, let me know and I would be happy to help you. So spouse visas um, typically take, um, anywhere from 10 to 15 months to get a spouse visa. But I can help you with that. So don't worry about that. Okay. So again, welcome everyone who's joining us um, and appreciate it. If you have your questions, please post your question in the comment section. Post questions. Um, so next week, we're really going to try to promote and have some people join and use the link to actually ask their question live. Some people are intimidated by that. Other people don't care. They would rather be able to ask their question live than have to type it. So stand by for next week. We're definitely going to be doing that with people. I've been wanting to do it for a while. I just haven't honestly taken the time to figure it out. Um, so Daniela, if you wanted to post that comment you just made, I would love to have you post that comment. Okay. Um, so yeah, so stand by. So next week we're definitely going to invite people to ask questions live. I'm not going to make Daniela ask that right now. Um, although she just texted me a question, I think that she's going to probably post it on here so other people know what her question is. Okay. Um, or not. Maybe I'm being too optimistic here. Um, but again, yeah. So again, capabilities, it's easier for people who don't want to type questions, or maybe, and this is, no disrespect for anyone, but a lot of people don't have the best English written. They can speak English a heck of a lot better than they can write. So next week we're going to have this so people can actually do their own questions live on here with me, um, and they can become celebrities of sorts, right? Um, so again, um, see, I talked about the fiancé visa, the spouse visa, travel permits. Highly recommend travel permits. And that's if you have an adjustment of status, hugely important. There's travel permits for other things. Refugees can request travel permission. People with certain types of immigration process in the United States, like a U visa, can do travel permits. Uh, travel permits for deferred action people. These are all options for people that immigration is doing a really good job approving these days. They're no longer super duper harsh like previously. Again, I don't get political here, but President Trump was not very great about these things. He closed it down and people weren't able to request travel permits or advance parole or things like that. Guess what might happen? Okay. Trump might be in our future. So I tell people, if you've got an immigration process that exists now, you freaking do it now. Okay. Because it might not exist in a year, or certain options might not exist. So do it now, man. So do it now. And I would love to help you with it. So reach out to me if you want to, but don't waste time. Don't wait around for things under immigration law. You do it and you do it quickly. Okay. Um, Again, you look before you leap. So you determine whether you have the right to do it and whether it's going to create problems for you. But if you have the right to do it, definitely don't wait. Okay. So don't wait around. Okay, let me see if there's any other questions. Um, let's see. I posted our link so you can schedule a consultation if you would like. Um, if you don't want to ask a question live, that's fine. You can reach out to me directly. We can have a one-on-one conversation. And that link that I posted earlier is how you do it. Okay. Um, are there any other last questions for our friends? And again, thank you for those of you who actually posted where you're joining us from. It makes it so much more interesting for everyone on these calls. Okay. So that's something that I started doing last week and I'm going to keep doing. Um, so I got a question from Poppy Zoe. Um, what to do after your motion to reconsider is denied? Ooh, on a deportation case. Calling or joining us from Orlando. So thank you, Poppy. Um, so what do you do after your motion to reconsider is denied on a deportation case? So I don't know if you are dealing with strictly deportation, like immigration court stuff, or if you apply for an immigration benefit and it was denied and you requested a motion to reconsider, okay? Which is typically the context. Motion to reconsider is administrative immigration, not immigration court. Immigration court is very different. If you're denied in immigration court, there are other ways to repetition, to appeal, or things like that. But if we're talking about a motion to reconsider, that's an administrative arm of immigration, not the immigration court. Okay. So if you're denied your motion to reconsider, um, usually the things that trigger the ability to file a motion to reconsider is something that you can refile. I've helped people in the past refile for their processes, even when they have been denied their motion to reconsider. It's a bummer because if you want to file a motion to reconsider, it's usually because you don't want to file from scratch and spend all that money. The filing fees increase. If you don't want to do that, I understand that, but sometimes that's your only option. And that's not a bad thing, right? If you still have the option, Poppy, to actually refile, then absolutely refile. But guess what? Do it the right way, meaning reach out to someone who knows what they're talking about, like me, right? So if you need to do that, if you need help with that, definitely reach out to me and I can do that. Um, so so again, Poppy, this is definitely a very, very, very super duper complicated situation. We're talking about 1997. You're on order of supervision ever since 1997. Um, my big question for you is, you entered in 97. Are you by chance married to a U.S. citizen? If you are, you very well are going to be a candidate for the new parole in place process. If you can get parole in place, you don't freaking have to leave. Okay. So that's just a thought. We still don't know what Biden is doing with this parole in place. We know a number of different elements to it, but we don't know all the elements to it. What is allowed, what is not allowed. They've changed things. You have US kids. Okay, that's definitely helpful. As things move on, we're in July now, okay? So if our prediction is by the end of August, we're going to get a whole lot of information trickled out to us, but we might not know the answer to all these things until the end of August, okay? So stand by for these questions for the new parole place process. It is looking more and more hopeful for people. Um, so a lot more people are going to benefit from it than we originally thought. But yeah, if you enter the United States, you've been here for over 10 years, you enter legally, or you've got problems where you are no longer in a valid state, that might be your key to the future, which is this new parole in place. Okay. Um, so let me go here. Okay. What do we have? Um, so again, thank you for everyone who's joined us tonight. We're actually beyond our time. Stand by for next week. Next week at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, which is Detroit time, New York time, East Coast time. You guys get it, right? We're going to be on here again. We're going to be answering your question, and we're going to try the new thing where you can actually verbalize your questions instead of typing them. It's going to be a lot more fun. And I would encourage you to join to see how that goes and to ask your questions live. Okay. So again, thank you for everyone who joined us. I'm beyond my time. So let me see. See you next week. Please join us. It's going to be a lot more fun next week again. Prepare your questions in advance so you're not sitting there going, oh boy, I know I have a question. I knew I did, but I don't remember what it is. Write it down. Put it on your phone, okay? But again, thank you everyone for joining us. And I look forward to seeing our friends again next week. Thank you. Have a wonderful night.